Welcome to the 2023 Sport Action Films Top 10 Short Track Drivers Rankings.
Today with us we have Connor Sullivan out of Connecticut. Condog, it's been a while that I just saw you a couple weeks ago down at Snowball Derby, but it's good seeing you once again. You guys just got finished with some weather up there.
Yeah, we had a very rough time. A lot of flooding, a lot of wind. We actually lost internet service yesterday, so managed to get that back. Feeling for all my friends up in Vermont, in Maine. They got hit especially hard with the flooding. Heartbreaking seeing some of the pictures out of Barrie, Vermont. Of course, I've been working up at Thunder Road this past season. Going to be back next year. But tell you what, though, like they say, Vermont's strong. So they'll bounce back once again.
Absolutely, absolutely. And Connor Sullivan's background has been in racing and Yukon band. So Connor, tell us where you came from and what you've been up to the past, I guess, 15, 20 years from racing wise.
Well, I just started as a fan of the sport. I got into racing when I was about 6, 7 years old, and then my dad started taking me to the old Riverside Park Speedway in 1998. Went for the final 2 seasons before that closed, and then Stafford Motor Speedway became our home track, and went there a lot. Same with Thompson and Waterford. Weekly, of course, followed a lot of SK Modified Championships. Got into the NASCAR Wheel and Modified Tour and all the other modified tours that have come out since. And then 2013, when I was a student at UConn, I got my own radio show. Actually, I had the radio show for about a year and a half before, but then I decided to try, hey, why not just go for media credentials at the 3 Connecticut tracks, because all 3 were running weekly at the time, because I always used to talk about short track racing all the time in the show whenever I just go with my dad. And 2013, I got credentials to 2 of the tracks, and then I got an internship at Stafford, running cameras up in turn 4. And then 2014, I got promoted to pit road announcer down there. Did that in 2014, 2015. But 2015, that was the big break, though, getting involved with Speed 51, doing races in the region, and then going to big events like the Oxford 250 and the Snowball Derby for the first time that season. And then 2016 going full time with that, and pretty much what I've been doing ever since.
Yeah, and Connor Sullivan, don't let him sell himself short. A heck of a trumpet player. He played the national anthem at Millbridge Speedway for one of their big events.
That was a long time ago.
That was, but you blew everybody away with that. I think it was 2017, maybe 2018. I
think it was 16 actually. I was still fairly fresh out.
No, I think it was 17 or 18, because 16 was my first year at 51, and I know it definitely wasn't that year, so it was probably 17 or 18. But you blew everybody who worked for Speed 51 away, because Connor's this quiet, unassuming guy. You get him behind a trumpet, you get him behind a microphone, and him calling a race, and he's a different person, or a hockey game too. He's really good at that. But yeah, let's get into the modified top 3, and we got some honorable mentions you want to start with for your love of mods. You're the mod guy, and go.
Well, starting in the honorable mentions, it's going to start off in the South. Going to start with actually one of the big names, Bobby Labonte, with a big late season surge on the Smart Modified Tour. Just had a miserable start to the year. Unfortunately, that carried over to his appearances on the SRX series, but came away with 2 out of the last 3, 1 at Tri-County, and then got the season finale at Orange County. I'll tell you what, Bobby Labonte, I think he's got a future in modifieds, to say the least.
Yeah, he's looking good there, that's for sure.
Yep, and then you get to one of the more accomplished drivers, Burt Myers. 3 straight Smart Modified Tour wins in the middle of the season. Although the one thing that was interesting about those is that they were very spread out. It's the way the Smart Tour schedule works. Of course, you have the block of races in the springtime. You have the mid-season break with the 1 race at Caraway, and then you have the fall stretch. And Those 3 races he won the last race of the spring stretch, won the summer race at Caraway, and then won the first race of the fall stretch. And after that, he did not look back, coming away with yet another Smart Tour title. And one of the guys that he held off for the Smart Tour win, Brandon Ward, he had a good season on the Tour, 2 Smart Tour wins, but he finally got that first ever championship at Bowman Gray Stadium. Actually came back in the last race of the season to beat Tim Brown, took a little advantage of some troubles, and Brandon Ward making himself a master of the madhouse.
That was great to see.
Yep, and as for some of the guys up here, got to give a call to Ronnie Williams, one of the Connecticut drivers. Really scaled back on this year, concentrating on raising a family, but did a great job up at Thompson Speedway this year in the Open Modifieds, and he also managed a win on the Monaco Modified Tri-Track Series at Thunder Road, which is not a place you see modifieds very often.
I didn't realize that those guys went up there. That's tremendous. Cool.
Yep, the last 2 years they've been going up on Memorial Day, and they put on a heck of a show. They are fast, to say the least, up there, but it can get a little spooky, as Les Hinckley and Chris Pastriak found out.
Oh, did they have a big dust up?
Hinckley, he ended up on the Widowmaker.
Oh boy. Yeah, that doesn't.
He was okay. Everybody was okay. That was the most important thing.
That's good. All right, next.
Well, going to get into the top 3 here. First off, going to start with number 3, and this is one that you might be a little surprised was a little higher, but Justin Bonsignore continuing his great performances on the NASCAR Wheel and Modified Tour, 5 wins this year, and was involved in that epic title bout with the likes of Ron Silk. But Bonsignore, though, and that number 51 Ken Massa team, just another great performance, and they'll be back next year. And Bonsignore also, he and his partner, adding another to their roster on the family as well. So congratulations to Justin.
Yeah, I was real happy to see that. Basically, he's gonna have a daughter now, the same age as Bubba Pollard's 3rd child. So we'll be able to follow that in the upcoming years to see where that goes. But just to finish up on Justin Bonsignore, what a solid driver, and still he's trying to become recognized as one of the best modified drivers of all time. He still has a ways to go, but boy, has he been a very successful driver in the Wheel and Modified series.
Yes, indeed. But he had some stiff competition this year from the likes of our number 2 driver, and that is indeed the 2023 and now 2-time NASCAR Wheel and Modified Tour champion, Ron Silk. Just a great performance for that team. They were great right out of the gates, winning the very first modified race of the year, not just on the Wheel and Modified Tour, but for all the modified races. Of course, that being the New Smyrna Beach 200 at the New Smyrna Speedway back in February. Very impressive performance for Ron in that one. The first of 5 NASCAR Wheel and Modified Tour wins on the season. And not only that, but he also got one of the big open modified races, now winning his first ever Spring Sizzler victory at Stafford Motor Speedway back in May. So just a absolutely crazy performance by Silk, and boy oh boy, some of the battles that those two had this year, very impressive to say the least.
Absolutely. Wow. I didn't realize Silk had that good of a year. I mean, everyone said he did, and to beat Bonsignore, you got to be on your A game. But I didn't realize it was that high. Wow, that's crazy. And also to hear that it took him that long to win a spring Sizzler, and good for Silky.
Not only was it Silk's first Spring Sizzler victory, but he also got a pair of firsts on the NASCAR Wheel and Modified Tour as well, getting his first win at both Riverhead Raceway and at Wall Stadium in the middle of the summer. Very, very impressive for a guy that's been on the modified scene for quite some time.
Wow, that is impressive for Mr. Silk, because you don't really get many hot modified drivers out of Southern Connecticut. So really good to see that.
I don't know. I think the LaJoie family might have something to say about that.
But that was, man, I don't want to date myself, but that was what, 40, 50 years ago. So that's why I'm saying that.
I just need to remind you how good I am when it comes to stuff like that, even if even if it was before my time.
Yeah. Well, just so you know, I don't even think I ever told you this. I went to Danbury and actually saw the LaJoie run, the grandfather. So
yeah, I think you might have mentioned it
and
once
Randy,
or twice.
And Big Ram too.
Yep.
Right.
And of course, Silk and the LaJoie family from the same hometown, Norwalk, Connecticut.
That's right. Yep. Different ends in Norwalk, but yeah. I'm from the Silk side of not Norwalk, but like I grew up on the Parkway, and I believe the LaJoies grew up on I-95, and as an insider of Connecticut, it's there's no difference. It's just 10, 15 miles. It's weird how those towns just spread out like that. Anyway.
Yeah. Both those stretches of highway are equally horrible, just in different ways.
All right. Yeah. Kudos. Yep, you're right.
Gotcha.
All right. Number 1?
Yep. All right. Enough beating around the bush. This one probably not going to come as much of a surprise to people, but got to put that splendid Pennsylvanian Matt Hirschman, Big Money Matt, once again living up to the name. He had about as good a start to the season as you could as well. After coming up a little short in the NASCAR Wheel and Modified Tour season opener, he went on to sweep all 4 of the races that are part of the World Series Championship in New Smyrna the following week. He didn't stop getting yet another win on the Smart Modified Tour during the spring stretch. He also had a career year on the NASCAR Wheel and Modified Tour, winning 3 times. Something that he didn't do even when he was full-time back in the mid to late 2000s. And of course, he did great on his familiar stomping grounds. That is the Monaco Modified Tri-Track Series, winning 3 out of the 6 races, including a great run late in the season to win yet another title on the Tri-Track Tour. But he did have to overcome some adversity on this season. Of course, I mentioned him running on the NASCAR Wheel and Modified Tour. That almost became his undoing during the August race at Thompson Speedway. Bit of a pileup on the back straightaway. Didn't look like anything major, but in the dust-up, Hirschman, he got his forearm caught in the steering wheel, actually broke the bone, and got him out of the car. There were some people that were worried, like, that's it. Season might be over for Hirschman, but not so much, though, as just 1 month later, he came back to run one of his favorite races, that, of course, being the Race of Champions 250 at Lake Erie Speedway. Chased Patrick Hammerling all day, but came up a little short in that one. But the very next week, U.S. Open on the ROC Tour at Lancaster, he came away with the win in that one, and then followed up with a NASCAR Wheel and Modified Tour win at North Wilkesboro Speedway, and just probably one of the most dominable Novembers I can remember. North-South Shootout at Caraway, won it. Islip 300 at Riverhead, won it. Had never won at Riverhead, too. That track was his albatross after so long. Of course, Stafford had been the albatross. Oh, yeah, almost forgot. Stafford got his second career win at Stafford, winning the fall final. It's the first time he's ever won the fall final as well, after winning the Sizzler back in 2022. And, of course, final race of the season, Wall Stadium, getting the victory in that one in the Turkey Derby.
Would you say this is probably one of, aside from breaking his wrist, would you say this is maybe one of Hirschman's best seasons?
Numbers-wise, I don't know if I call it the best by numbers-wise, but I think when you take the comeback into account, I have to say yes, too. It's, being out of the car for a full month, too, and having a nagging injury like that, something that can throw off the game of a lot of drivers, but it just shows how poised, composed, collected Hirschman is as a driver. Of course, you just watch him in the pits after a practice session, just breaking down what needs to be done. Probably one of the most cerebral drivers there is out there.
Definitely one of the most focused, drivers. I agree 100% with you.
Even his interviews as well.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, from the way he conducts his interviews, he's methodical and just like getting his point across from beginning to end, and he'll even stop you and be like, oh, wait a minute, there's one more thing I want to put in, and he's done that to me a couple times, I'm sure with you as well. What a great season for Hirschman. So now that we did the top three, we're gonna go to modified young guns, and who should modified fans and even race fans, because we're doing this to kind of boost different types of race fans and get them more knowledgeable on the mighty modifieds. Who would they take a look at and follow along for an up and coming driver, Connor?
Well, interestingly enough, this driver, not just out of Pennsylvania, but also out of Northampton, Pennsylvania, and not just out of Northampton, but also out of Mud Lane as well. And that, of course, being the.
Well, keep going, but let me help you out here. Mud Lane is where the Hirschmans live, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Exactly, and of course that is Austin Beers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. This kid just been incredible as well. Already got an ROC title to his name back in, I believe it was 2020. Gotta get my notes here. No, 2021 actually, but he had a good showing in 2020 as well, running amongst the top contenders. But yeah, coming away with that title in 2021, despite not winning a race. But this year, he went on a tear, finally getting those race wins. Start of the year, got a win on the NASCAR Wheel and Modified Tour at Richmond. Wow. Richmond, what a debut to say the least. Ended the season with 2 wins on the tour, and he finally also came away with his first 2 wins on the ROC tour out there in the state of New York. So it is kind of interesting, though. 2 years on after winning on the title, he finally gets those wins. But now that he's broken through, I think we're going to see a lot out of this up-and-coming Pennsylvania driver.
Yeah, that happens a lot in many sports, especially racing, where they just get their confidence brewing, and you can't hold them back anymore, and the wins just start piling on. So 2024, Connor Sullivan and the mods. What are you looking forward to? What's first up for the modifieds coming up in 2024?
Well, of course, New Smyrna Speedway World Series, always first up. But one thing I'm looking forward to is going to be the return of the NASCAR Wheel and Modified Tour at Thompson Speedway in the month of April. Of course, they've gone back on the schedule in October, just a year ago in 2022 on World Series weekend, but they're going to be back on Icebreaker weekend. So you'll have 3 dates at Thompson next year for the NASCAR Wheel and Modified Tour. And really, Icebreaker weekend, it's going to be bigger than ever, because you'll have the tour on Sunday, but on Saturday, you're going to have the Monaco Modified Tri-Track Series with their own round at Icebreaker weekend. So it's going to be a must-see for all modified fans in the region. Of course, I do a lot of work at Stafford Speedway during the year, doing, I think it's just about everything, whether it's being behind the camera, sometimes even in front of cameras still on a couple occasions. But got another great schedule coming up. Of course, got the Spring Sizzler at the end of April. They also got something a little bit new this year. They're going to have, I think it's about a 10,000, 12,000 to win race. The Modified Masters, it's going to be a special Wednesday night show in mid-July. That's going to come up right before Cletus McFarland and his gang coming up for a Friday-Saturday doubleheader that coming weekend at Stafford's. And, of course, you'll have all the usual stuff coming up as well. fall final to end things at Stafford. And, of course, the SK Modifieds will be back. They'll have the SK 5K. And, speaking of the SK Modifieds, and got to give a shout-out to the tenacious one, Todd Owen, winning his third straight SK Modified Championship at Stafford. And not just his third straight SK Modified Championship at Stafford, his third straight SK Modified title at the New London Waterford Speed Bowl as well. What a trio of seasons that Todd Owen has managed to put together. Man, 2 hat tricks at once. I don't know if that's ever been done before.
No, that sounds very original. I don't remember or recall that ever happening before. But as you keep saying modifieds, I forgot to bring in earlier in the show, but this is a good time to do it. Is don't forget BSing with Bubba, our podcast that I do with Bubba Pollard. There's part 1 and part 2. Him and Ryan Preece. Have you gotten a chance to listen to any of that, Connor?
I've got it on the list though, but. Okay. Those two, those two are not strangers. You go back to when Bubba was supposed to run a modified at New Smyrna during the week, and I think it was the first or second practice session of the week, and grenades the engine. That's it.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, It's definitely one of the big what ifs that still brings a tear to my eye.
Yeah, they're talking about making it happen, and they go over that in the podcast a little bit. And funny enough is Derek Thorne, the 2023 Snowball Derby champion, comes into the podcast, basically crashes the party and starts asking Bubba, like, what's it like driving a modified compared to a super late model. And Ryan Preece is very engaging in his story and stuff like that, and the differences and the nuances. That would be that was the second episode, but the second episode starts with Ryan Preece talking about his crazy crash at Daytona on the backstretch and what he was thinking and what happened immediately after, and the terrible looking injuries to his eyes and that sort of thing. But the first one goes into more about short track racing, him going down to the Snowball Derby, his crew, the track. Very, very interesting and really cool hour and a half that Ryan spent with Bubba. So everybody will have to check that out as well as Connor. So
and I'll say this about Ryan Preece. I don't care if he's in a cup ride with Stuart Haas Racing, still a modified driver through and through. He showed at Martinsville Speedway that he can still very much get it done without fenders on that car. And that was what a special victory that was too. You talked about the crash at Daytona. Really 2 big crashes this year. Of course, you go back to the one he had with Kyle Larson at Talladega in the spring, and he's taken some of the worst hits I've ever seen in the Cup Series, but he's managed to keep his head level. And I think the best part about that victory at Martinsville, seeing his little girl in victory lane with him.
Absolutely. That's one of the first thing he thought about. She was 2 weeks old when he had the Daytona accident. He speaks about that in the podcast. It's really cool to see. Bubba's a dad of 3 girls. I'm a dad of 2 girls. Ryan's now a dad of 1, and so the dads are starting to come out. But Connor, is there anything else you want to go over?
I do have 2 more shout-outs, if I can.
Yeah, go for it.
And this is actually going to be on the full fender side. First off, got to give a big shout-out to a Seekonk driver, Giovanni Ruggerio. What an absolutely incredible season that young man had. He's come up through the ranks so fast, just starting pro late models, late 2021, early 2022, and of course, he's in super late models now with Donnie Wilson Motorsports. Won the Winchester 400. I believe he won the Blizzard Series title this year at Five Flags Speedway. And he had one of the best comebacks in the Snowball Derby. Barely made it off the grid as well after having not the best qualifying effort out there. Barely made it off the grid after all that, but they managed to get the car going. I think he even caught a piece of a wreck too early on, but he managed to come through and finish second, I believe it was.
Yes. Second. Yeah, that's correct. I believe he was part of the Gregson deal. He was
Yes.
right. He was right behind Derek Griffith. Griffith.
Yep.
The big one.
And
So.
yep. And I'll tell you what, there are a lot of kids, they come down south with all these dreams and aspirations, but he has found a way to take the resources and back it up. I really hope that he can keep it going. And as for my second shout out, it's got to be to Maine's Max Cooksen, who actually made his Snowflake 100 debut with Donnie Wilson Motorsports. Why did he get that ride? Well, his performance over the last couple of years has been just mighty impressive. 2021 wins the Past Modified title, has a good rookie year in 2022 and super late models in the Pro All-Star Series, and then he just completed this unbelievable trifecta this year, winning the weekly title at Oxford Plains Speedway, winning the Past National title. That's a selection of some of the bigger races on the overall schedule, and then winning the overall championship itself. And that's a big schedule too. That's 16 plus races right there all across the Northeast. And the other cool thing too is that he was one of the 7 members of the 2023 Alan Kowicki Driver Development Program class, and he won that too. They just celebrated the championship last week at Charlotte Motor Speedway. $54,000 plus on the grand prize there. It's going to be big for a small-time operation that they've got up there in Maine, but just very impressive. 2 of the young guns to watch out of the Northeast if you like full fenders.
Yeah, Gio just announced he's going ARCA racing with Venturini, so it'll be good to see him make the next step. And
going for the ARCA East title too.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Pretty cool. I believe Jake Finch, who we spoke with too last night on our podcast, the Ty and Tom Uncut and Unfiltered show. He's actually flown up there to Venturini today, and he's getting ready for Daytona. So busy guys in the full fendered world. And Connor, I appreciate your time. I appreciate your knowledge, and you knocked it out of the park again today. Appreciate you, dude.
Hey, thank you for having me on. I know you gave me a hard time, a lot, especially when it comes to the hockey side of things.
Yeah. Well,
hey, the Rangers got a lot of help from the refs, so that's all I'm going to say about that.
Well,
but hey, I appreciate the heck out of you. Your work is just some of the best I've ever seen in the short track world, and really love what you got coming up though. And don't worry, like I said, I do have BSing with Bubba on the holiday list. Have to do a little it's perfect for the decompression session after yet another intense season, but very excited what's ahead. I'll be back at Stafford for a majority basis. Going to be doing Thunder Road full time as well. The ACT tour. I'm very excited for what's coming up.
Awesome. Glad to hear it. Hey, and just so people can find you, Connor, where can they find you, like on Twitter and Facebook? And are you on the gram?
I am on the gram, and hashtag's the same on both there. And on Twitter, it's Condog. That's CONNDAWGCT. Cool
deal. And that's a name given to you by who was it? Coby?
Duke Kenfield.
Okay.
Matt Kenfield. He, of course,
the original OG from 51.
Yep. Oh, and a Speed 51 OG, of course. He does great work with Lionel now.
Yeah.
Too, cool. Heading up their operation too. But he was the one who gave me that nickname way back in the day. I want to say that was either late 2015 or early 2016. I think it was right before you came around the block.
Okay. Gotcha. Cool deal. Well, everybody, thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, comment down below on Sport Action Films, and don't forget BSing with Bubba, and we'll see you guys at the races. Connor O'Sullivan, have a great year.
O'Sullivan?
O'Sullivan.